Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another review. And today, I have the Delta Max portable power station from our good friends over at Ecoflow. Now, I'm a huge fan of portable power stations like this because I spend a lot of time out in the field, whether I'm flying my drone or I'm taking a hike, or maybe I've taken the family for a couple of days of camping. And having a portable power source like this with you just makes everything so much easier because it allows me to keep all of our portable gadgets fully charged. And if you've got young kids, you know how important that can be on a camping trip. It also allows me to plug in pretty much any appliance that I'd plug in at home right to the unit to operate things like a cooler that needs to be plugged in, a coffee pot, and I know if you're a hardcore camper, I know that's more glamping than it is camping, but I like to be comfortable when I'm out there camping. So having something like this that I can set next to the tent and plug in a whole lot of stuff and be able to use that while I'm out camping is a really big advantage. Now, Ecoflow is a company that makes a wide range of portable power solutions like this, starting with their River Mini all the way up to a larger unit than this that I'll be reviewing on the channel. This one fits somewhere in the middle, so this would be perfect if you've got a camper or you're out there sort of off-grid living, or if you're at home and you've got a lot of power failures in your area. This is perfect to keep in your kitchen. When you hear there's a storm coming, plug it in, get it fully charged, and if you lose power, you can plug a lot of things into this to make life a little bit easier during that blackout. Now, I will be reviewing other Ecoflow products as well, some smaller than this and some larger than this, to help you find the exact right unit for your needs. But for today, I'm going to focus on the Delta Max because this, again, is right in that Goldilocks zone between being small and portable for a hike or an afternoon out, maybe camping, to something that's bigger that can support your entire home. This, again, is perfect for a day or two of camping. So if you're going to be out for more than a day, take this with you and you've got plenty of power for everybody, but it's a little larger than you'd want to take along on a hike. So again, I've got other ones that I'll be reviewing very soon, but beautiful unit. Now, the way I'd like to do this clip is to start off with a basic overview of the product, and I'll give you the specifications. I'll do an unboxing first to show you everything that's included with the kit, and then I'll take a closer look at the unit and explain exactly what the connections are on the front and the back of the unit, how you charge it, what you can plug into it, what kind of current you can drain from it, and then finally I'll come back and talk about what really separates this from all the other portable power stations that are on the market, because I am a huge fan of this company. I've been watching them for a while, I've been testing their products for a while, and their engineering team is brilliant. They are absolutely thinking about how portable power stations are used out in the field, and there's really three components you have to focus on when you're building something like this, and I'll get into those in a minute, but first let me do the unboxing. So when you open up the box, you'll find a bunch of connections you can use to charge the unit. So for example, the fastest way to charge it is to use the AC cable that comes with it. It's a heavy-duty AC cable. It plugs right into the back of the unit. You plug it into any wall outlet, and it'll charge the unit really quickly. Matter of fact, in about 65 minutes, it'll charge it up to 85% potential. And it's got this charging technology built into it that is incredibly smart, that'll efficiently charge those batteries very, very quickly. And that's important because you want to get out the door as fast as possible once you've got it fully charged. You can also charge it from your car. You can also charge it from solar panels. You can charge it from solar panels and a generator, and even charge it quicker when you're out in the field. So a lot of different ways to charge this unit. They also include what I think is really nice, a 5521 to 5525 cable. And that can be used with the DC output on the bottom of the unit. And if you're not sure what that is, I'll explain it a little bit later in the clip. But that 5521 circular port on the front allows you to charge a lot of additional products that have a similar cable on it. You'll find a warranty card explaining how you can actually register this and extend your warranty, and a full instruction manual that explains everything you need to know about the unit, to charge it, to charge things from it, to take care of it, to store it, everything you'd want to know about this particular product. Now, let me talk a little bit about the company before I get into the tech, because the tech is really what I'm excited about. But Ecoflow is a company, again, that sat down, I think, and looked at the portable power station market. And again, smart engineers looked at that and said, we can do a better job, because there's three fundamental things you do with a power station. You have to charge it, you discharge it, and then what is the fundamental architecture inside that will hold that charge? Because essentially what you're buying here is a big battery. It's just a place to store electrons. Much like when you go on a hike, you fill up your water bottle, you put it in your backpack, and you're out for the day. You've got water contained in that, and you drink a little bit, and you've got plenty of water with you. It's a reservoir of water. This is a reservoir of electrons. So it's basically batteries inside there that you charge at home, charge with the solar panels in the field, or charge in your car. And once you've charged those batteries, how do you get the electricity out of it to actually charge your portable devices and operate the other things? So those three fundamental things, the battery, getting electrons into it, and getting electrons out of it, is really where they excel. And they've built in some really cool technologies to safely and quickly charge the batteries, but more importantly, maybe as importantly, safely charge the things you're going to connect up to it. Because having a lot of electrons in a battery, a big portable battery like this, just plugging a bunch of stuff into it, you've got to be really careful, because the stuff you're plugging into it is actually much more expensive than the unit itself. So you've got to have control circuitry inside there that will gently and effectively and creatively charge those devices at the same time. Now, this unit can support 15 devices at the same time. You can actually plug 15 different things into it and charge them all simultaneously. The capacity on it is 2016 watt hours, which is a lot of power. So it'll run a lot of things for a long time with the internal capacity. It weighs about 48 pounds. So again, it's not something you're going to drag along on a hike, but it's perfect for at home or at a camper, or if you're out there, off-grid kind of activities and you want to have some power sources with you. But let me get back to the battery section. So what they're using is lithium polymer batteries. They're NCM, which is nickel, cobalt, manganese, which is perfect for these kind of portable power stations. I know there's a lot of debate out there about the best chemistry for portable power stations, but I like the NCM batteries. I think they work really well. Plenty of charge and discharge cycles built into it. You'll get plenty of life out of it. It's years and years and years of charging, so it's not something you're going to have to worry about anytime soon. So once you have the batteries inside the unit, how do I get the electrons into the batteries? And then how do I draw those electrons out of the batteries? And that's really where these guys excel. They've really built technology into both the charging and the discharging that is far beyond what most other portable power stations have. So inside the unit, you can charge it again, like I'd mentioned, at home. You can fully charge the thing in about 1.6 hours, 1.8 hours. If you charge it from your car, it's going to take a little bit longer. That's probably the longest charging cycle. That could take 21 hours. So if it's completely drained, it's going to take you 21 hours to fully charge it. The solar is somewhere in the middle. Again, depending on how discharged it is when you start, you might take between 3 and 6 hours. Now you can connect this to external solar panels, 4 160 watt solar panels. So you've got a lot of energy coming in from the sun if you want to take those along with you. And again, if you're out camping or you're on the road a lot with a camper, you might have those in the back of the camper. You set them up in the sunlight, you connect them up to it, and you can fully charge the unit. So getting electrons into it is pretty easy because they give you a lot of different options. One key thing that's different about this, and I'll talk more about it at the end, is that a lot of these portable power stations come with this gigantic brick externally, which is essentially the mechanism that changes your 120 volt AC from the home into the DC to charge the unit. And that brick does that AC to DC conversion. The challenge with that, even though it works, the challenge with that is that those bricks go bad over time, and they're very specific to the charging solution you're using. So over time, if that brick fails, now you've got to be out searching for a new charging brick that fits your unit, that's actually compatible. What Ecoflow has done is they've built that circuit, that conversion circuit from AC to DC, into the unit. But more importantly, so that eliminates the external brick and all the cautions around that. But more importantly, having that inside the unit, they can completely control how that AC is converted to DC. They take a look at the batteries and they understand the exact charge state of the batteries, and they'll modify that charging cycle to sort of flatter those batteries. So what that does is give you this amazing extreme charging technology, the trademark name they use for it, but the extreme charging allows you pretty much to plug this thing in, and in about an hour's time, get it up to 80%, which is a quick charge. And that is something that's unique in the outdoor space that these are used. And because of that extreme charging technology, that happens. And again, that's one aspect of it that they've engineered. Okay, so you charge the unit up, you put it in the back of your car, you take it out in the field. Now you want to plug a bunch of stuff into it, right? So what you can connect to it and the way you connect to it, the actual connection ports, is super important. So once you've got it fully charged and you take it out in the field, they give you 6 AC connections. So you can actually plug in 6 different appliances or lights or whatever you'd plug in at home, chargers, those kind of things, into the 6 outlets on the back, which gives you a total of 6 plugs that can go in there at the same time. And those plugs aren't like a lot of other charging solutions where it's only a 2-prong ungrounded plug, and maybe you've got a 3-prong plug you're trying to plug into it and that third thing's in the way. With these, those are fully 3-prong plugs. So you can plug in anything at home with that extra ground stud in it. Now, to be fair, this is above ground, so you don't actually need the ground stud, but you can plug those in there, and that's a great way to sort of orient the plug, because a lot of times if you don't have that grounding lug in there, you may put one in upside down, and now you've got the neutral and the hot backwards. So having a grounding lug is really important. But the cool part about it is they give you an AC output, a DC output, which is direct DC like in your car, and they also give you a collection of USB ports on the front that you can use to charge all of your portable devices. And I'll go through all of these in more detail in a minute, but the type of connections they give you is really important. So for example, with the standard DC port, which is the same as the convenience outlet in your car, you can draw a full 10 amps. So anything you plug into your car, you can plug into the front of this unit and you can charge it. Nope, it's on the back, sorry. On the back of the unit, you can plug it in there and you can draw a full 10 amps out of that, just like you would in your car. So anything that works in your car, plug it in, you're gonna be good to go. They also built in 2 5521 ports, which again, this cable can be used for, and those can draw 3 amps each. So from the pure DC 12 volts, you can put anything you plug into your car car. In addition, two 5521 appliances plugged in there as well, as long as you're not drawing more than 3 amps. Now you might be wondering, what can I plug in there? I see those plugs in a lot of portable power stations. What are they really used for? Well, there's a lot of cables available on the market that will convert those to another convenience outlet, so you can plug a short cable in and actually have another port that looks like the one in your car. There are cables available that'll convert the 5521 to a USB-C, so you can charge another portable device with it. There's a lot of ways to use that, and a lot of portable electronics will use a 5521 plug or a 5525 plug, and that's what they include here. So a lot of ways you can use that DC port. And again, that's the 12-volt section. Now beyond that, there's a collection of USB ports on the front, and that's where it gets really interesting, because most of us that are charging action cameras, phones, drone batteries, need either a USB-A or a USB-C port. And USB-A is the older style. It's the large one we're all familiar with. Most wall chargers have a USB-A port on it. And there's two flavors for USB-A. USB-A fast charge, which is typically a 5-volt, 2.4 amp connection. This has two of them on there. Then there's a quick charge port, which actually takes it higher. So it's a quick charge port that will look at the device you're plugging in. As long as that device has that quick charging capabilities, the port will look at the device and adjust both the voltage and current that it's sending to that device to safely and quickly charge it. So it's a much faster way to charge things like Android phones and some drone batteries and other devices that use the QC standard. This has two QC ports on it that are full USB-A. So I can charge two quick charge devices on those USB-A ports that are quick charge and two fast charge devices off the other two USB-A ports. In addition to that, and this is where it gets really exciting, there are two USB-C ports on there that are PD ports, power delivery ports, which is the latest standard in charging over USB-C. In addition to that, there are 100 watts each, which is unheard of because most of the chargers in the market are 65 watts. A 100-watt PD charging port allows you to charge pretty much anything that plugs into a USB-C port. So things like big laptops or even large monitors that will charge off that, drone batteries that will charge off that, phones, cameras, anything you plug in to a USB-C port, 100 watts, two of them, on there, they're USB-C PD. So that's pretty amazing. So again, 15 devices at the same time. It doesn't stop there. They're thinking, okay, this has got 2016 watt hours of capacity inside of it. That'll last you about a day at home with the average use. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I plug into it on a regular basis. But they thought, well, gee, how do we extend that? Well, the electronics is in the unit. Couldn't we come out with a couple of other battery systems that plug into the unit? Well, that's exactly what they did. So on the side over here, and again, I'll do a close-up in a minute, there are two ports you can plug in a second battery and double the capacity, and even a third battery to triple the capacity. So you can take this thing up to a lot of capacity, which will last longer and longer and longer. Now, it doesn't allow you to charge more devices or draw more current out of it, but what it does allow you to do is operate the same devices you're operating typically for a day, 2 days, and maybe even 3 days with that third battery. So if you're in a situation like I am, where I live in rural New Jersey, I may lose power for a day or two. So having a second battery and even a third battery that I've got charged connected to this means that I can stretch whatever I'm plugging into it and operate it for up to 3 days in my cases. So it works out really well that way. So I've given you basically an overview of it. What I'd like to do now is take a closer look because I want to show you specifically how the ports work and what you can plug into where. And then I'll come back at the end and talk about a few other things that I think are absolutely amazing about the product. One of the things I'll stress at the end, and I'll go into a little more detail, is this X-Boost technology, which is, again, most of these units have a finite amount of current you can draw out of them. In this case, 2,400 watts, that's it. But the X-Boost technology will allow you to surge past that. So you can surge past that 2,400 watts because if you're plugging in things that have a big inrush current demand, things that have motors in them typically, like a hairdryer or a blender, something like that, where that inrush current, when it first spins up, draws a lot of current, it'll exceed that 2,400 watts. If you turn on the X-Boost technology, you can take it up a lot higher than that, which means I can plug in a hairdryer, where I can't do that with other portable power stations, or a coffee pot that's got heating elements that draw a lot of current when they first come on. So they thought through that, and that X-Boost technology helps. The last thing I'll mention about it, it's got a Wi-Fi connection built into it. So it's really an Internet of Things connected device. That means you can fire up an application and you can monitor every aspect of the behavior of this portable power station. I can see how much current I'm draining, how long I can continue to run the things that are plugged in there on the charge that's still available on the batteries. If I'm charging it, how long it's got to take to finish the charge. So I can plug this thing in the kitchen, go about my day to get ready to go out and fly for the day, and know from my phone upstairs in the bathroom when I'm done with my shower, look down and go, okay, it's 85% ready to go. So let me go downstairs and disconnect it, put it in the car and take it out in the field. So they thought of everything. And again, I know I rave about this company, but as an engineer, I look at this kind of technology and think to myself, well, what would I do to improve it? I look at a lot of other portable power stations and there's a lot of things I could fix on there. With this one, I'm stumped. I mean, everything they did is something that I would not have thought of, or I thought of and they've already got it incorporated. So great product, really, really strong product out in the field. So anyway, stay tuned. Next, I'm going to take a closer look at it, explain the connections and the indicators and all the things you'll need to know about it. And then I'll come back at the end and give you probably 5 or 6 things that really separate this product from all the other portable power stations in this capacity range that you may be considering. On the front of the Delta Max, you'll find the main power button, and to turn it on, you'll hold that button for a couple of seconds, you'll hear a beep, and then the display comes to life. Now this display shows you everything you need to know about the current state of the unit, including the charge level, which is 28%, and I like the fact that they also give me a visual representation of the charge level with those bars on the outside of that circle. So right now I've got 28% charge left in the batteries, and I've got a few bars lit up. As I charge this and that charge level goes up, more of those bars will come on. So it's an easy thing for me to glance over at the unit and kind of see how many bars are lit up to know what I've got left if I can't read that number. You'll find an input indicator and an output indicator as far as how much current is coming into the unit when you're charging it and how much current you're using from the unit if you have things plugged in. And those are really important numbers to keep an eye on, because as you plug more products into it, it's going to draw more current and you'll have a real good idea of how much current you're drawing. The interesting thing is this number over here indicates how many hours left you've got on the current charge with everything you've got plugged in. And that's an important metric, because a lot of times you're plugging things into it and you're using the capacity of the battery and you want to know how long you can continue to run those products. That number will tell you that. You'll find an IoT reset button here, and that helps with the internal application. If you're having problems connecting with your phone to the unit through the application, you can hold that to reset the IoT. Below that, you'll find all the USB connections, and to turn these on, you'll tap that button right there. That turns on all the circuitry here, so all of these become live. On the bottom, you'll find 2 USB-Cs that again are PD ports, power delivery, with 100 watts each. Above those, you'll find the USB-A ports. These 2 are fast charge ports. Each of these will deliver 5 volts at 2.4 amps independently, and these 2 are quick charge ports, which will deliver 5 volts with the quick charge compatibility. So if you connect a device up to it that's got a quick charge capability, the port will actually analyze that product, do a handshake with it, and deliver the right amount of current and voltage to that product to quickly charge it. The nice thing is all of these independently operate. So you can have QC plugged in here, you can have PD plugged in here, regular charging or fast charging devices plugged in there, and each of these will independently negotiate the correct voltage and current to charge your devices safely through a USB connection. On the rear of the unit, you'll find a number of input connections and output connections, and I'll start at the top with the charging connections. Behind this door are a number of ports you'll use to actually charge the unit. On the left is the DC input port, and that can be used with the included car charging cable and solar panel cable. You'll simply plug one end of it in here. The other end on the car charging cable plugs into the outlet on the car, and on the solar panel cable, you'll plug that into your solar panels, and the DC from those, both of those sources, will enter here and charge the internal batteries. In the center, you'll find the AC charging port, and that's used with the included heavy-duty AC charging cable. Again, you'll plug one end of that into any standard wall outlet, the other end plugs in here, and that'll allow it to charge through AC when you're home. On the right is a circuit breaker. If you draw too much current out of this unit, the protection circuit kicks in, it'll pop that breaker. If that happens, disconnect your devices, reset the breaker, and then carefully add things back and make sure you don't exceed the output current of the unit. You'll also find a switch here that controls how quickly it charges through the AC port. So normally you leave it in the fast position, and the internal extreme charging technology will take over and carefully and safely charge those batteries with as much current as available through that AC port. But if you're plugging this into an AC port that's already got other devices plugged into it, you may want it to charge at a lower rate. And to do that, you'll flip it down to the bottom position, the slow position, and then through the application, you can decide exactly how much current flows into the unit so you can control it manually. Again, it's nice that they give you the automated feature up top or the manual feature down below. Below that, you'll find the AC output circuit. And again, you've got 6 grounded outlets right here. Together, these can draw 2,400 watts at the same time from the unit. To turn these on, you'll tap that button. That circuit comes alive, and these are all active right now. And again, you can plug anything you want in there that you would normally plug in at home. You just have to keep it under 2,400 watts. If you exceed that 2,400 watts up to 3,400 watts, the X-Boost technology will kick in, and that allows you to use things like hair dryers or blenders or toaster ovens. Anything that's under that 3,400 watts should work just fine there. You can turn it off by tapping that button again. On the bottom is the DC connection. That's a 12-volt DC connection. You can turn that on by tapping that button. And it's nice that you can turn these on independently so you're not wasting energy with the inverter running when you're not plugging something in. But once you turn the DC on, all these ports become active, and you've got a standard 12-volt port right here, just like you'd find in your car. So anything you plug into your car, you can plug in there. And there are two 5521 ports right over here like I've described, and these can use external cables to charge other devices, or a cable that would convert this into another one of these so you can plug in multiple car charging devices. This will draw 10 amps. Each of these supply 3 amps between them, so it gives you a lot of DC current that you can use with a lot of the devices that you normally charge in your car. On the side of the Delta Max at the very top, you'll find ventilation slots that are there for temperature management, and behind those are cooling fans. Inside the unit, the battery management system is constantly monitoring the temperature of the batteries, the inverter, the electronics, even the outside temperature. And if it gets warm enough, those fans will turn on. They'll draw air through the unit, across the electronics, and out the other side to keep everything inside at a very comfortable temperature during operation. Below that are two external battery connections, battery port 1 and battery port 2, and these are used with the included cables to connect up external batteries to double or triple the capacity of the unit. And if you connect those up, you can actually charge those external batteries the same way you would charge this unit, just by plugging it into the wall or connecting it to a DC source. It'll charge the internal batteries first, then charge the external batteries to extend the use. Again, 2016 watt hours internally, another 2016 for the first battery, and another 2016 for the third battery, which can greatly extend the use of the product over time. Here are a few things to keep in mind when you're comparing the Delta Max portable power station from Ecoflow with others you may be considering. Now, some of these things may seem a little bit nerdy, and others are a little bit more practical, but I promise you they're all really important. So with any portable power station you're considering, there are 3 fundamental areas you need to focus on: the battery chemistry and the capacity, the input section, and the output section. Now, the battery, pretty obviously, is where the electrons are stored. It's what you're charging to take out in the field and use. The input section is how you get those electrons into the battery. How do you charge it? Can you charge it at home, on a solar panel, in your car? So that's really important. And then once you've charged that battery, how do you use that stored energy? That's the output section. How do I connect up and operate all of my portable devices off that battery? So all 3 of those things are important, but I'll start with the simplest metric you can use, and that has to do with battery chemistry and capacity. And I'll start off with battery chemistry. A lot of the portable power stations on the market today use basic lithium polymer technology or LiPo technology, which is a great technology. The problem is it's a little bit older. And the chemistry is a little bit finicky, where it doesn't like warm weather, really hot weather, really cold weather. You'll find that the batteries over time don't hold the charge as long, so if you're in the field for a couple of days, you may not get the full use out of that charging technology. The newer versions, like this one, use lithium polymer NCM, which is nickel manganese cobalt. I know that the acronym is wrong. It's NCM. It should be NMC, but at any rate, it's nickel manganese cobalt, which is a newer technology, which gives you a lot more tolerance of hot weather, cold weather, a longer charging cycle, a longer retention of that charge, more charging cycles over the life of the product. So it's a newer technology. That's the first thing you want to look for, is look into specifications of anything you're considering and see what kind of battery technology they're using. And the next that deals with the battery is the capacity, and that's another really important metric, because these are available from really small versions like the River Mini in the Ecoflow's case, all the way up to thousands and thousands of watt hours. And you can run your entire home off of one that big, and I'll be reviewing one real soon that does that. And you want to make sure you pick one that fits your needs, because if you buy something big like this and you're only going to use it for a day, it weighs 48 pounds. So if you're only going out for a hike, this is going to be way too big for what you need. Something smaller will work really well. And the way you can figure that out is think about what you're going to want to use when you're out there in the field and how long you're going to be out there in the field. So if you're avid campers and you're going to be out for 3 or 4 days at a time, this may make sense. Or if you've got a camper or motorhome, perfect fit for that. If you've got a home that's out in the country like I do and you suffer from power failures all the time, this could be a perfect fit for you, because you can run pretty much 90% of the stuff that you plug into a wall outlet off this for a day on a full charge, and you can expand it with extra batteries to go even longer. But the key thing is find the capacity that works for you. Now, the good news is Ecoflow makes a wide range of products, starting with like 300 watt hours all the way up to thousands of watt hours at the top end. So find the one that fits your needs. Once you do that, that's your storage. That's the battery that holds the electrons. So once you find the one that's portable enough to take with you, has enough capacity to give you all the charging you need for all your devices, that's where you start. Now, as far as input technology goes, It's important any device you find gives you a range of options to charge it, because when you're in the field, you may very well want to charge it off your car. You may want to bring a solar panel with you. You're certainly going to want to charge it at home. So you want to find one that at least gives you the option to charge it at home and in your car, and hopefully with a solar panel connection. The Delta Max gives you all three, but more importantly, the conditioning of the way you charge it is critical. Now, most of the portable power stations in the market have a built-in battery management system. They'll call it a BMS, and that's really the circuit that determines I've got electrons being fired at the battery. How do I groom those electrons to flatter that battery charging cycle? How do I maximize the energy that's being given to me to charge those batteries safely, which is really important. What Ecoflow's done here is built in a brilliant, and I use that word a lot, battery management system that will look at the battery state, the temperature, all the things that matter when I'm firing electrons at a battery, and it'll adjust that charging cycle to charge those batteries as quickly and as safely as possible, and that's their extreme charging technology. So again, getting out the door quickly is important, and you'll find that most of the portable power stations on the market take a long time to charge because they're charging at a really low rate. They're not looking at the battery capacity. They're not making adjustments on the fly. So you're going to spend a lot of time charging it. Now, if that doesn't matter to you, that's perfectly fine. What I love about this one is no matter how much I deplete it, when I come home from a trip, I can plug it in about an hour and a half, I've got a full charge, or 80% of the charge, depending on the discharge. So it's a quick charge, it's a safe charge, and that extreme technology really gives you an advantage. Two other things about the input on this one. Like I'd mentioned before, a lot of these have an external charging brick, which works okay, but the company that builds a power station doesn't build the charging brick. They buy it from somebody else, and that's wildly inefficient in most cases. So you're wasting energy trying to charge those batteries using those external bricks. More importantly, if that fails, you got to go find one that matches your portable power station, and they can be really expensive. What Ecoflow's done is built all of that technology inside the unit, which means I can use a standard cord if I lose this. That's a standard computer cord. I can find those anywhere. They're a couple of bucks. I just plug it in, I'm good to go. But more importantly, the internal charging circuitry here allows them to build in that extreme technology to charge it quickly and safely, which is really important. The last thing is, I love the fact that they include all the cables I need. So right out of the box, charge it at home, charge it in my car, charge it off any solar panel I've got. That's a great thing to do. One last thing I want to mention about the charging, and I showed this on the close-up, there's a switch on the back that allows you to fast charge it or to control the charge cycle on it. So if you're plugging it into an outlet in your home that maybe a bunch of other stuff's plugged into and you can't draw a lot of current without tripping a breaker in your basement, you can flip this switch down and through the application determine what the charging cycle should look like. So they're not only taking charge of it themselves automatically with artificial intelligence, they're letting me, the consumer, decide how do I want to charge those batteries. Again, all that kind of stuff is just great, just wonderful. All right, so that's the input side of it. Now, the output side of it is super important as well, because what you're connecting up to this unit really is more expensive in most cases than the portable power station you're bringing along. So if you think about your cameras, your phones, your tablets, your drones, your batteries, your TVs, whatever, your cooler, you plug 15 devices into this, all of those added up are way more expensive than the portable power station. So whatever the circuitry is that takes the electrons from the battery and delivers those at the right voltage current and the right connections for those devices is super important. And again, Ecoflow has done a phenomenal job because there isn't something I need to charge that I can't plug into this somewhere. I've got 6 AC outlets on the one side, all of them 3-prong grounded outlets, so any cord I've got, I can plug it in. It also forces me to have the right orientation in the cord because that grounding plug is there. I love the fact that I can also plug in DC directly. So I've got anything I use in my car, and I've got a ton of car chargers and battery chargers for drones I plug into my car. I can plug that in directly. They give me 2 5521 ports. Now again, a lot of people look at that and go, I'll never use those. You'd be surprised at the type of cables that are available on the market that plug into those 5521 ports. They expand it even further. So when I say 15 devices, that's not even counting how I can expand beyond that, the 2 charges per port on the 5521s. So the DC side of it at 12 volts, a full 10 amps, by the way, which is what you've got in your car, allows me to charge a lot of stuff through that. In addition, I can use that while I'm using the AC. So I can charge DC 12 volts and AC at the same time with no issues. In addition to all the USB ports on the front of the unit, which again, there's so many different flavors and technologies and types of ports. A lot of the portable power stations on the market may give you, if you're lucky, a couple of USB-A ports. And if you're really lucky, maybe one of those USB-A ports is a quick charge port that you'll use with your Android phone and some of the products that use the QC standard. On this one, you've got 2 standard USB-A ports that charge at 5 volts at 2.5 amps each, or 2.4 amps, and you've got 2 quick charge ports. So I can plug 2 phones, 2 tablets, 2 portable gaming systems into those at the same time. Each of them recognize those devices as different, and they'll adjust the voltage and current to charge them. On top of that, I've got two USB-Cs that are PD power delivery at 100 watts each, which means anything I bring in the field, my laptops, some of my bigger portable things that need that kind of 65 watt or 100 watt charging, I simply plug them in and I'm off and running. And there are cords available on the market where you can plug in a single USB-A on the front and then expand it to 3 USB-Cs on the other end, so you can fan that out to charge even more devices, and I do that, so it works really well. So the output section is important, but the key thing to remember here about the output section on most of these portable power stations is that they're kind of dumb. Not this one. Most of them are kind of dumb, and what I mean by that is all they're doing with that output section is taking whatever voltage those batteries are charged to, they're regulating it to be a 5 volt, which is typical USB charging, and they're going to limit the current to 2 amps or 3 amps for all the ports, all of the ports together. So that means the first thing I plug in, make quick charge, I plug something else in, everything drops down to 5 volts, maybe at an amp or two, which means I'm charging really, really slowly. This is smart enough to have individual circuits on both the USB-A, the USB-A QC, and the PD charging ports, that each of those ports individually has a brain behind it that looks at what I've connected, it'll handshake with that device, and it'll adjust whatever current and voltage it's thrown at the device to charge it quickly and charge it safely, independent of all the other things I plug in. So for me, that was a mind-blowing experience to figure out I can plug 6 AC units in the back, I can charge a DC port at 10 amps, I've got two 5521s that charge at 3 amps, and then I go around front, I've got the two USB-As that are QC, two USB-As that are fast charging, two USB-Cs that are PD at 100 watts each. Everything I need to charge, I can plug into this thing and charge it easily, and that's really important because carrying it out in the field, and I've had this conversation with the family, Dad brought along the portable power station, everybody's got something they want to plug in. If you don't have enough ports, it's just going to be nothing but a wrestling match about who gets to charge what and when. The final thing I'll say about the company, well, two things. The first is, if this isn't big enough, if this is not big enough for you, here's a battery unit. This unit comes as an additional option that you can buy with this. 2016 watt hours, 2016 watt hours. So I can connect this up, and here's another cool thing. Look at the design of this. So the top is flat, I push a button, a little door opens up. What's inside there? I don't know, let's see. An instruction manual and the cable I need to connect the unit to this unit. So there are two ports on the side right here that you can see there are rubber stoppers over. You plug the cable in there, you plug the cable in here, and boom, you've got twice the capacity, which means when there's a power failure and everybody's panicking, I have this on the floor, I plug in the second battery, I can run the house for 2 days, everybody calm down, we'll be able to make toast, we'll have coffee, you can run your hair dryers, we can watch TV, everything just works great. So I love the fact that they build that in it. The final thing I say, which I think is really kind of important, and it really shows you just how far ahead of the curve Ecoflow is with their design criteria, is the fact that they've got this fully featured application that creates this relationship over Wi-Fi to the unit. And I can actually run the app, I can control what's going on inside the unit from the app, I can see the metrics, I can see the battery health, all the things I care about, and I'll have a whole separate clip that shows you the app and how to use it, what you can get from that. But no matter what I'm using from the Ecoflow product line, I can use that app for all of my products. So I can be charging it down in the basement, getting ready for a big storm that's coming, be up in the kitchen, getting ready, filling the bathtubs with water because we're on a well, you gotta use buckets of water to flush the toilets. But anyway, the storm's coming, I'm probably sharing too much. The storm's coming, I can see exactly what the charge level is of the unit in the basement to know when I can go downstairs, bring it upstairs in case we lose power. So all those things being equal, there isn't another company out there that I've found yet, and I've tested a lot of these portable power stations, that really thinks through exactly what a consumer is going to do with something like this, and has really taken it to the next level, both with the battery technology, capacities, the input section, the output section, and just the ease of use around this product has just been rock solid. I've been testing this unit for over 6 months in all kinds of conditions, out in the field, at home, in a camper, taking it out camping for a couple of weeks, and it's just phenomenal. So again, that's pretty much all I had for today. I hope you found this helpful. If you've got any interest in this product, I've got a link below where you can go check it out on Amazon. I've got a link to this. I've got a link to a couple of cool cables you can use with the 5521 because I talked about that already. I've also got a link to a Hydra cable that we manufacture that allows you to plug it into a USB-A port and fan that out to 3 USB-Cs if you need additional connections on the front. But pretty much that's it. So thanks an awful lot for watching. I appreciate your viewership, and until next time, stay nerdy.